What if the reason your belly fat won't go away has less to do with food, and more to do with stress? You try to eat less. You cut back on sugar. You go for walks. You do your best. And yet, the fat around your stomach stays exactly where it is. That's when many people start blaming themselves. But sometimes, the problem is not only what's on your plate. Sometimes, the problem is what your body thinks it's surviving. And that is where cortisol comes in. Cortisol is often called the stress hormone, but it is not automatically bad. In fact, your body needs it. Cortisol helps you wake up, stay alert, regulate energy, and respond to challenges. In short bursts, it is helpful. It is part of your body's natural survival system. The problem starts when stress stops being temporary. Poor sleep, financial pressure, emotional overload, constant notifications, overthinking, never truly relaxing. Over time, your brain can begin acting as if danger never ended. And when that happens, your body may start changing the way it stores and uses energy. That is one reason why some people say, "I barely eat, but I still can't lose my belly." And sometimes, they are telling the truth. Research suggests that chronic stress may be linked to increased abdominal fat in some people. Not because stress magically creates weight, but because it can affect blood sugar control, insulin sensitivity, cravings, sleep, and how safe your body feels using stored energy. In simple terms, if your body feels under pressure for too long, it may become more protective and more resistant to letting go. And often, that shows up around the stomach. Now, this does not mean cortisol is the only reason for belly fat. Age, hormones, sleep, genetics, meal timing, activity level, muscle mass, and digestion all matter too. But stress is often the hidden piece people ignore. Because stress doesn't only affect hormones. It affects behavior too. You sleep later. You wake up tired. You move less. You crave more sugar. You feel more irritated. You lose motivation. And even if your food looks healthy on paper, your body may still be living in a stressed, defensive state. That is why belly fat is not always just a calorie issue. Sometimes, it is a nervous system issue. One of the biggest clues is your daily rhythm. Normally, cortisol should be higher in the morning to help you wake up and lower at night so your body can relax. But modern habits can completely disrupt that rhythm. Late-night screen time, mental overload, irregular sleep, constant stimulation, emotional tension before bed. The result? You feel physically tired, but mentally awake. You go to bed exhausted, but your mind won't shut off. Then you wake up unrest and do it all again. That cycle matters more than most people realize. Because poor sleep and high stress feed each other. When sleep gets worse, cortisol regulation can become more chaotic. When cortisol stays high, sleep often gets worse again. Then the next day, your cravings rise, your energy drops, and your body becomes more likely to seek comfort and hold on to energy. This is why calming the body matters. Not because relaxation magically melts fat away, but because a body that constantly feels unsafe often behaves very differently from a body that feels regulated. And this is where small evening habits can actually help. Not because they are dramatic, but because the nervous system learns through repetition. For example, lemon balm and chamomile tea may help support relaxation for some people, especially in the evening. Lemon balm has been used traditionally for calming purposes for a long time. Chamomile contains a natural compound called apigenin, which has been studied for its relaxing effects. These are not miracle weight loss drinks. They are not belly fat hacks. But they may help support something important, a calmer evening state. And sometimes that is exactly what the body needs. How you use them matters too. If you drink them while scrolling on your phone, rushing through the moment, you miss half the benefit. But if you make it part of a quiet evening routine, the tea becomes more than a drink. It becomes a signal, a message to your body that the day is slowing down. The same is true for breathing. Because stress has a breathing pattern. When you are anxious or overloaded, your breath often becomes shallow and fast. That tells the brain something is wrong. But when you slow your breathing on purpose, you can send the opposite message. One simple technique many people find useful is the 4-7-8 method. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 7 seconds. Exhale slowly for 8 seconds. That's it. No equipment. No cost. No complicated routine. And yet, for many people, it can create a real sense of calm in just a few minutes.
Why?
Because slower breathing, especially longer exhalations, may help activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the body associated with rest, digestion, and recovery. In other words, it helps move your body away from defend and store mode and closer to rest and repair mode. But here is the key most people miss. Don't only do breathing exercises when you are already overwhelmed. Do them before. The nervous system learns through repetition. A few minutes in the morning, during the day, or before bed can be far more helpful over time than waiting until you are already stressed out. And that matters because sleep, stress, cravings, energy, and fat storage are all connected. This is why punishing yourself often backfires. Extreme restriction, guilt, harsh dieting, and constant self-criticism can become stressors of their own. If your health journey feels like a war against your body may hold on even tighter. That is why real progress often starts with a different question. Not, how do I force this fat off my body? But, how do I help my body feel safe enough to function better? That may mean improving your sleep routine, reducing screen time at night, walking regularly, eating more steadily instead of chaotically, using calming rituals like tea, breathwork, dim lights, or a warm shower. And perhaps most importantly, understanding that no single hormone explains everything. Because cortisol is only one part of the picture. Belly fat can also be influenced by insulin resistance, aging, hormonal shifts, poor sleep, inactivity, low muscle mass, digestion, and overall life rhythm. That means lasting change usually does not come from one magical fix. It comes from supporting multiple systems together. And that is actually good news. It becomes about helping your body trust life again. That doesn't mean stress is the only reason belly fat exists. And it definitely doesn't mean food no longer matters. It simply means this. If your body keeps receiving the message, we are under threat, it may protect, conserve, and hold on. But if it starts receiving the message, we are safe now, it may slowly begin responding in a very different way. And sometimes, that is where real change begins. Not by pushing harder, but by finally learning where to slow down.